Hello, how's everybody doing? I hope you're doing just fine. I am as well. It is really stormy here in Chattanooga right now, and I just got out of the gym, but I've been thinking about this message since earlier in the day when I was doing yoga, and then I was on the treadmill, and more just kept coming out, and I had to get it out. I want to do it before I get in the shower because I am tired and I'm ready to lay it down. So, tonight, I wanted to be very vulnerable with how I'm feeling because I have come a long way, and I believe that being your authentic self and being vulnerable is a great way to draw people in, especially if they're going through a hard time. Being real is the best thing ever. I spent so long trying to be a people pleaser, trying to cover up the things that I wanted and the things that I felt for the sake of others being happy. And I am no longer in that space anymore. And I wanted to share some things with you guys in real time that I'm dealing with right now. And I feel in a much better space to do this because of practice. Yes, we're talking about practice. It's all about the more you do it, the better you get at it, even when it comes to being in pain or being in chaos or learning just to let things go. Things that no longer serve you, no longer serve your highest good. Connecting to your higher self and going within and knowing what it is for your highest good would be the first step, because for one, it can only be traumatic if you let it. Of course, we're going to have trauma. Everyone's had some kind of trauma in some way or another, but the longer that you sit in it is what causes the suffering. And the suffering is optional. And I know it's easier said than done. That's why I wanted to share my real experience in the moment, because I don't ever want to make light of it or for anybody to look at me and say, well, she's not going through what I'm going through, or I've had this and this and this happen in my life. And first of all, you don't know what I've been through. I've been through a lot more than I talk about. And two, the things that I've recently gone through in the past year and a half, I sat in it for a little while until the Lord had carried me and taught me how to put one foot in front of the other. And I have recently, it's not been a snap thing that happened, but it did take a lot of practice. It took a lot of focus on other things, mainly myself, because I chose me. And I have just now, within the past few months, come to a period where I could talk about it without just breaking down and crying. There's certain videos I have on my channel that are private, that I didn't post, like around Christmas time and stuff like that, where I didn't want to be vulnerable. I wanted to have a script. I wanted to sit in front of you. I wanted to share quotes. I wanted to give you step-by-step instructions. I didn't want to sit there and cry. If I've ever cried in a video, it's because either I did it too soon. I did it, like I've made a video, which is private now, but I made a video after my son was taken, and it was very emotional, and I don't have that private anymore. Like I said, the one around Christmas time, I got pretty emotional, but any other video that I have posted right now where I got emotional was where I was just feeling it in the moment and it just came out, and it wasn't anything that I was going through at the time, but it struck a chord and it brought emotions to the surface. And we're not perfect. We are not perfect at all. And for a long time, I tried to be perfect at everything. Like I said, with the people pleasing, and I had a fear of abandonment, and I was very codependent because I had grown up in a situation where being codependent was a defense mechanism. It was protection for me. I needed to stay 2 steps ahead so that I didn't get in trouble or hurt or something. Like, I needed to protect myself because I didn't feel protected by the people around me. So I needed to calculate moods. I needed to calculate, you know, uh, body language. I needed to calculate everything that was going on around me so that I could stay safe, especially as a young child. And then when you haven't done the work, you're going to keep vibrating the same. You're going to keep thinking that that's what love is. And so you're going to pull unknowingly those same things back into your life. They may look different, but eventually it's all going to be brought back to the root of your self-worth. You can only love someone else as deeply as you love yourself. And if you think that that level of worth is equal to this kind of love, you're going to keep chasing that. You're going to keep repeating that cycle until you've learned your lesson. We are destined to repeat it until we have learned the lesson. And I really don't want any of the things that I've been through to be in vain. I want to help others as much as I possibly can to minimize the suffering, to get in, to get out, to end that cycle as quick as possible, to be able to have an evaluation of yourself and the patterns and the traits and the toxicity and the type of people that you keep attracting. I want you to be aware of it in a way where you can put a stop to it and not keep repeating it. And when you have repeated it, even if it comes dressed up in a different package, because it will. I've had 2 husbands. They, on the surface, look like very different people, but when you're in a relationship with them, when I was in a relationship with them, behind closed doors, they were very much the same person, because that's what I kept attracting, because I hadn't learned the lesson to end the cycle. So today, what brought this about, what made me think about doing this message today, was just the suffering that I had been through and the trauma that I'd been through from losing a relationship, an active relationship with my children. And that is my most recent traumatic event. And before or during all of that was me being locked out of my uncle's house without any notice. And I had a thriving cake business that I ran from home and his house. And so being locked out locked me away from all of my things. It locked me away from my business. Didn't have a stable place for me and my son to live while we were going through this CPS investigation, and a restraining order against the other parent. It was all happening at the same time, and chaos. It was chaos, and I can thrive in chaos because I've been in chaotic survival mode most of my life, and that was because mainly I didn't end cycles when I should have. I kept holding on to relationships or duplicating relationships with different people that ended up the same. I kept holding on to things that did not serve my highest good, that were not good for me. They were not good for my children, and everything came to a head because I kept trusting and having faith in the wrong people when I needed to trust in me, trust in God, to go within, to be guided by my intuition. My intuition told me long ago that I should have left those things behind. But the hurt, the unhealed me thought that I needed those things to be me. And now I wouldn't trade it for the world, but we'll get to that later. Just because you thrive in chaos, just because you're good at it, just because practice and survival skills, trying to stay 2 steps ahead, trying to be the person that wears all the hats, trying to be the dependable, the reliable, the mainstay, the common denominator, the one that can always hold it down. I worked 2 jobs several times in my life, but the last time that I did it for 2 years, and I worked close to 80 hours a week, a lot of weeks during that time. I also did some cakes on the side. I had 2 children, 12 years apart, so they were doing very different activities. One was in like a t-ball, and the other was playing high school baseball, which I had to rely on the help of other parents, because if anybody knows what high school baseball is, they often have their games right after school. They're like before people normally get off work. So I had to rely, and I'm very thankful for the help that I had, although I didn't get to be there for everything. I thought I was good at juggling all of those things, and the bills were mainly getting paid. I did have help from my uncle on some things, but that is one reason that I kept staying around this energy vampire, this person that was so reliant on me, but made me feel bad for needing help from them, wasn't loving, put me down. It was very critical, just abusive relationship, not physically, but mentally. But I kept people around because I thought if I loved them hard enough, or I showed a positive example, or if I just kept going back in and giving it another try, that I needed that safety net, or I needed their love, or I was attached to the family side of it, because I have a very small family. All of my grandparents, all of my parents are passed. So I did think this is family, or I've worked so hard on this relationship, or I'm invested in that I hung on to things longer. And even though it was a chaotic environment, I felt like I was doing a good job at it. But just because you're doing a good job doesn't mean that it's something that you should be doing, something that you have to do. When I stopped working for other people and running their businesses for them as general manager, I started my cake business back up, which I had done in 2013 to 2015, and I became really good at it. And because I was a lot better at it this time, I took on so much business, sometimes overbooking, sometimes staying up all night, many nights, and it wasn't all necessary. Let me just throw it out there. I liked staying up and working all night because there was nobody that needed anything from me. I didn't need to get snacks or dinner ready or take a dog outside or anything in the middle of the night. So that was the time that I got a lot of things done. It was productive. But I did stay up a lot. And then when it comes daylight time, you got to deliver the cakes, or you got to let people come pick them up, or you're back on mommy duty, or you're taking dogs back out, so you're not sleeping until like the next night. So being a baker, I lost a lot of sleep. But it put me in that cycle, that constantly going, constantly people needing things from me. But in my mind, I was like, I got this. I'm doing it. No, I'm not letting anybody down. But that's wrong. I was letting myself down. I was letting myself down majorly. I came not just third, fourth, fifth. I came like 30th on the list. And that's what put me in a big deficit. And so I wanted to be authentic about how we don't need to be perfect. That just because you're good at something, because you practiced it and you're holding it down, doesn't mean that you should have to do all of that. You need to make choices for you. And because if you're not good, nobody else is going to be good. They're all going to be running behind. You're all going to be robbing Peter to pay Paul. They're going to feel that. They're going to know that. Which is why when I've said in the past, I didn't always do the best with what I had, even though, we look back at things that, even if you didn't grow up in a relationship like with your parents, whether it was abusive or narcissistic or anything like some of the things that I've been through, even before I recognized that that's what those things were, I still said, and a lot of people say, they did the best with what they had at the time. And I would love to be able to say that. And for a long time, I believed that. But when I look at how chaotic things were, and just because I was holding it down did not mean that I needed to be that. So if I had done the best with what I had at the time, I would have prioritized myself before all of these things came to a head and blew up, and then I learned the hard way to put myself first. And that doesn't mean that you're being selfish. That means that you can't pour from an empty cup. You have to fill your own cup first. So even though you're trying to be the best you can at being great at a chaos, this is my controlled chaos. This is what I used to say. This is my controlled chaos. And even though I felt like I was in control of it, I was never in control of it. I may have made it look good, and I make a lot of things look good because I'm a hard worker and I don't give up. So just being a quick learner and being good on your feet and being resourceful and being loving to others and helpful and people pleasing, like, you can make a lot of things look good. But that doesn't mean that you should be. That doesn't mean that that's what you should do. You need to prioritize yourself. You need to slow down. Because believe me when I say that when things come to a head and all of those spinning plates come crashing down, you're going to be left with a lot of work to do if you don't get ahead of the I place importance on me game. Because that's the game that we need to be playing. So in my deficit, in the past, things that I'm going to share with you today would have broken me, would have made me fall apart. And I'm going to tell you how they made me fall apart. And this is me being very vulnerable. And I feel the emotions rising, but I also feel like I've done enough work to sit here and be raw with you and not be a blubbering mess. That is the only reason why I feel like I can do this now. And I'm confident in the place that I am now. And it takes a lot of work, guys. If it were easy, everybody would be doing it, but it is so worth it. So just try to learn from me. Okay. So the message came up because, for one, I thought about doing it around Mother's Day, but then I was like, no, I don't really care about Mother's Day. Like, holidays don't really mean that much to me anymore. I've sat by myself and with myself and just had God for so long now that it's not even a thing. It's not even a thing anymore. I went out to eat by myself, like for the first time in a restaurant all by myself, just eating alone for my birthday last year. And that felt super weird. But I've been to movies by myself, like maybe 2 or 3 times I've gone to the movies by myself. If it was a movie that like nobody else wanted to see, but I really wanted to see it and I didn't want to wait for it to come out on video, so I went to the movie by myself. So I've done things like that, but going out to eat by myself and on my birthday was really weird. Especially because I saw my oldest son like right before I got to the restaurant, and I was like, yeah, like we could be together, but we're not. So I could have let that change my mind, but I kept pushing forward, and I'm so glad that I did it because I poured into myself. But Mother's Day came, went. I didn't talk to either of my children. Today, which is why I'm doing this message today, was Colin, my youngest son's promotion from elementary to middle school. So I was like a month ago, maybe a little longer. I still am on Life Touch, which is who does the pictures for schools around here. I'm on their like email list. So whenever Colin would have school pictures, they would email me and tell me that the proof was ready. And I logged in like maybe a month ago and I saw the picture of him in his cap and gown, and I was like he just looks so much older. He looks so much older, and I could sit around and I could say, which my immediate thought was, I'm missing everything. I'm missing it. Like, it's been a year and a half, Lord. Like, I'm missing it. And look at him. He's so, like, grown. The last time I saw him was in February. Like, see, the emotions are coming, but trust me, I'm going to get to the good part. I will not break down. I saw him on his birthday, and he's long been, like, close to my size. His dad is much taller than my first husband's dad, so my oldest son is taller than me, but he didn't get taller than me until, like, middle of high school. But Colin is almost taller than me in the 5th grade, but he, just his face was longer. Everything had changed, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, Lord. So I prayed and I prayed and I prayed, and then I told Colin, I said, I know when your promotion is. It's May 20th. I said, but I don't know what time it is, so I'm going to leave it up to you. That if you want me there, then let me know what time it is. And then that was 2 weeks ago. And since then, I haven't had a phone call from him at all. So there it is. Like, I'm not going. I could just show up. I could have just found out. I'm totally allowed to go to things like that. And I should be notified per court, which I'm not going to go into, but I am allowed to be there. But I think back to times when my mom, my real mom, she would just randomly show up, and it would surprise me and it would scare me, because then I would try to think about, like, I knew it would set my dad off if my mom was around, and what was I going to have to deal with when I got home. I've already been through a lot of the things that my son is going through right now. So I would never do that. Plus, it gives them an opportunity to have me squirted out, which my mom also has been done. And this happened after my dad died, and I didn't have to worry about it. It was his funeral. She showed up to, and she had made comments to somebody that she was coming to get me. Like, she was, now that he was gone, that she was going to swoop up, and I didn't know her. So when they asked me, like, do you want her here? I was scared, as I always was, because she just popped up without notice. And as a kid, that scares you when you don't know them and you don't know what's going to happen. And you've been told they tried to kidnap you, which I would never try to do to my son at all. So I would never want to even be accused of that. But when she showed up at the funeral, they asked her to leave, and I do not want any kind of scene. I don't want anyone to have the satisfaction of asking me to leave. I don't want to make my son uncomfortable, so I didn't go. But I thought about him all day. I think about him every day. I pray for both of my children every single day. That will never stop, no matter what happens. But how do you get through those things? I'm not going to sit and wallow in it. This is a moment where things are raw, that I'm going to be very vulnerable with you guys. But I want to tell you that with practice, that with steps of coaching ourselves, that you can get through this. I used to, after our visits, when we used to have visits, I would break down every single visit. As soon as I got in the car, I would never do it in front of him, but I would get in the car and I would hyperventilate. Oh God, please bring him back to me. Please. I miss him so much. It's been so long. This journey's been so rough. And let me tell you, God will not bring you to something unless he's going to see you all the way through it, and he makes no mistakes on you. And you created all of this, so don't be your own worst enemy, okay? You created all of this. If you knew that it was going to come, you never would have gone through it. I would have stayed exactly where I was. If somebody told me what was going to happen if I wasn't submissive to the tyrants in my life, I would have kissed my uncle's ass. I would have made good friends with his girlfriend who bullied me and projected her things onto me. I would have gone back to my son's father, even though it was the worst thing that I have ever been through my entire life. I would have made nice with him. Who knows? I don't even know if I would be here right now, but I would have tried my damnedest to be that people pleaser, to make everything go smoothly, to not rock the boat, to give them what they wanted so that I would still have my son. So that maybe possibly I'd still have my older son in my life. But looking back at everything that I have been through since that happened, because I didn't know it was going to happen, and I took a stand and I stood up for what I thought was right, for what I know is right. But I wouldn't trade the work that I've done on myself for the world. For the world. I wouldn't trade any of it, because the person that I am now is not taking any of that abuse anymore. I am not the doormat. I am not putting my self-worth depending on the way other people treat me. And I feel sorry for that Carrie in the past. And I feel bad for the example that I was setting for my children and letting them know that what I accepted from other people was okay, and that was what I was worth, because I'm not. My oldest son, a couple of years before any of this happened, started treating me like crap, which is why it wasn't such a big surprise when he abandoned me during my time of need, because he had already long started treating me like I was shit on his shoe, and we had many arguments. And me just trying to beg and cry and get him to understand how he was making me feel, but he was already on that track. He didn't care. Whatever had gotten him to treat me that way was rooted. It was already rooted. The train was already on the track. So with him, I cut that off first, because it hurt too bad to keep trying to go back in. And I knew that I was worth more than that. And I was like, I have been there for this young man. Like, every time that he's needed me, I would drop everything. I have done the absolute what I thought was the best that I could in every example in his life. Even when I was working 2 jobs, I felt like I had neglected him. He got in with the wrong crowd. He started selling weed. That's why I helped him get his own apartment in my name twice, so that he could still be thriving and on his own. He wasn't going to stop doing what I told him to not do, but I didn't want it to jeopardize my custody with my youngest, so I did everything that I could to still keep him happy, even though I wasn't going to sacrifice my youngest son for the legalities of it all. But when it came to losing the youngest, I know that I've set examples for him. I didn't do things that I should have. When I was in a relationship with his father, I just kept my head down and worked hard and thought, this will get better. With time, it'll get better. But it didn't, and I kept going back to something that was harmful to me, that made me look ridiculous for going back to over and over, and setting that example for my youngest son, that this is what your mom's worth. Or even if you know your worth, keep compromising for other people and putting their needs and their wants and their happiness before you. I set a horrible example. That's why I didn't do the best with what I had. Not that I abused anybody or did something that was physically harmful. What the example that I showed them was horrible. It was horrible because I didn't respect myself. I didn't love myself. And because of all of these things that I was forced to go through, and had blind faith and trusted God and just kept going one foot in front of the other, it has shown me so much. And I never, ever would have been this person if it hadn't been for God putting me through what I had to go through. I would still, like I said, I would be people pleasing. I would be bending over backwards. I would be probably taking on too many cake orders still. And every time I think about Somebody will still email me or friend request me, or I'll pass a craft aisle in a store or the baking aisle, and I'll be like, I am so glad that I am not doing that, and I thought that that's what I wanted to do with my life. So just because you're good at something, whether it be holding all the balls in the air with the chaos, whatever the chaos may be, or a business or whatever, God's going to show you his plan for you. And that is what I don't want you to discount, even for a second. Even if it's hard, it's going to be hard. But he knows what he's doing. He has a plan. He has timing. So no matter how long it's been for me, no matter how hard it's been for me, I wouldn't trade it for the world, because I know God has strengthened me. He has shown me my worth. He has helped me to be so much wiser in the decisions that I make and the boundaries that I hold for myself, that the way it is structured now, the way that I have peace and that I have learned to create like this little slice of heaven on earth for myself, that I never would have saw all my mistakes or acted on them to correct them or worked on myself and tried to heal myself from the past so that I could put a better foot forward for the future, for myself and for others, whether that be for my children or for strangers out there that learn from my videos. I wouldn't trade it for the world. God knows exactly what he's doing with your life. Exactly. Where you may have incarnated here and you forgot everything you did. Most people don't know jack about why they're here, or what's coming next, or what else is out there after life on the other side. Like, we don't. There's a reason we don't. But God always knows. Always knows. So trust in what he's doing with your life and know that he has prepared you. You will not be able to do this without him having prepared you for it. And all of the strengthening, all of these trials, it is all preparing you for what yet is after this, because it can't last forever. Rain can't last forever. Yes, you're going to be tired. Do it tired. Yes, you're going to be worn out, and do it worn out. Yes, you're going to probably be scared at first. Do it scared. But he's going to show you how to do it anointed, because that's what you have been called to do. That is your calling. That is your anointing. He has put this on you. Answer that call, because everything that you're going through in your time of trials is preparing you for everything that is yet to come, because he's not going to bestow his blessings. Your blessings will not miss you. I don't care who you are, what somebody's done. I don't care what you've done in the past. What God has for you will never miss you. It is always for you. If there are delays, if there are blockages, they were put there on purpose, because he was testing other people to see if they were down for him, or if they were acting out of selfish, out of jealousy, out of hatred, out of whatever low vibrations that they may be in. If they failed the test and he allowed the blockage or the delay to happen, trust me, people were being tested. He knows everything. He sees everything. He hears everything. He knows what's in their hearts. So vengeance is not yours. It's not for you to get. But in order to keep going, in order to make it to your blessings, because the only way that you can miss your blessings is you. If you give up on yourself, that is the only way that you'll miss your blessings. So I wanted to make this video to tell you guys how to, my stomach is growling horribly. I'm in the middle of a fast, so which makes me extra vulnerable, because just like breaking from social media, or breaking from eating or overeating, or any kind of band-aid that you will put on your trauma, anything, substances, alcohol, vaping, whatever it is that may be your vice. When you take all of those things away, you are raw, you are unfiltered. You are just out there. You're healing, you're working through, you're navigating, you are becoming your best self, because you have to get all of those things out of your way. Get out of your own way so that you can, when God does bless you, you can hang on to it. It's going to be sustainable because you've done the work. You've put in the work to be able to keep those things. He's not going to give it to you until you've done the work to be able to keep it. He wants you to be able to keep it. He wants you to get that and then keep going. There's no ceilings here. We're all going to level up in our own time, but he wants you to be able to sustain those blessings. He's not going to give you something that he knows you can't handle, whether it be trauma, whether it be something awesome. So keep going. But like I said, in the past, I would break down at things like this. And I didn't cry at all today. The most that I've cried about any of these things was me tearing up while I was telling you about it. I have worked through it. I have learned to sit with it for a minute. Allow yourself to sit with it. Cry if you need to. Journal if you need to. Be creative. Make videos like I am. Even if you don't post them anywhere. Get it out. Get it out. And if you need to cry, we always feel better. Tears are our medicine. Like, you will feel better after you cry. It's just the staying stuck there. Don't stay stuck there. You have to find a way to keep moving forward. And like on Mother's Day, I bought myself something. I bought myself a blender. I had been wanting to make smoothies, and even like the pre-made smoothies at the store required a blender. And I just hadn't ever been like, okay, I'm gonna go in for it. I didn't want to buy a used one, and then I found one for, I think, $16. It's a little single one-person size blender for smoothies. That's all I want, but these smoothies have made me so happy. It was a little treat on the way. I know I'm a great mother, so I gave that to myself on Mother's Day. I didn't need anything from anybody else. There were flowers at the store that were after Mother's Day, and so even though it was after, these 5 roses were $3. I still bought them for myself. They still lasted a pretty good time, like maybe not as long as if I'd gotten them on Mother's Day, but I still enjoyed them. They smelled wonderful. I was so grateful and thankful to that. So you can give yourself little things, even if it's not a blender, even if it's not on the exact day. You can still give yourself things and show yourself love. In my yoga practice, I've been hitting my fitness goals hard. I have a long way to go, but I feel like that is the last missing piece to the work that I've done on myself, is the physical and the healthy, and I very much want to be a vessel that God can dwell in with no problem. So the fitness, the yoga, just easing up to it, getting the stretches in, because trust me, the older that you get, bending down just to tie your shoe is going to hurt if you don't practice something. And whether you do yoga or not, like, yoga's great because it's stretching. Do Pilates. As somebody will probably come and say that that's demonic too, but whatever works for you. I'm not going to judge. But start off slow. But my fitness journey, I started out eating better, and then I started with the yoga, and now I have like this cheap gym membership. So I do love to go outside in nature and connect with nature and get my, I like to be distracted from my exercise. But if it's bad weather and it's really hot and muggy here this time of year, we have had tornadoes bouncing around everywhere. I hope everybody's being safe, but tonight it was horrible. Last night was horrible. Luckily, I've missed the rain both nights going to the gym, but starting to work on myself more and more. I'm walking up to 3 miles in the gym, like I would walk close to 3 miles in the park. So just little by little, do things. Set your own personal goal, though. Don't pay attention to what other people are doing. And if you do videos, you don't go to the gym, you can do videos on YouTube, even if you need to modify them. Even if you need like a yoga block, you can't reach all the way down yet, you will. And the more that you do it, you will notice that you're getting better and better every time you do it, as long as you stick with it. That you're stretching a little deeper, that you're walking a little further, that your speed is picking up. But be committed to your growth, to pouring into yourself. These things will get so much easier, because if you don't find personal goals, whether it be fitness, whatever it be, if you don't find that, then you're going to stay stuck. You're going to stay in that cycle. You're going to wallow in it. You have to find ways to focus on you and take focus away from whatever may be traumatic or hurting you so that you don't stay in the suffering, so that your life is not chaos. You need to learn to handle these things with ease and not make that your permanent residence. And when it's really bad, really, really bad, like it was when these things first happened to me, like when they took my son, like the breath was knocked out of me, the sense was knocked out of me, like God will carry you. God carried me for a few months, and all I knew to do was walk. And I walked. I got up every day and I walked for like 3 weeks, even in the snow. I walked. But the more that I walked, the more that He showed me beauty and joy in the smallest day-to-day things, to where now I take nothing for granted. I mean, not one single thing that happens in my day or that I have in my life do I take for granted. So gratitude for every single little thing. I mean, the butterfly, the mushroom, the heating and air that you have, the snuggly blankets or pillows, or the clothes that you have, the food that you're eating, any little tiny thing. Passing a dog. I have dogs and kids that I pass all the time, and they are just like drawn to me. And I think sometimes it annoys their owners because they're just naturally drawn to me. Some people don't want their dogs being pet by strangers. People definitely don't want their kids running off to strangers, but that happens to me all the time. But even though I'm not interacting with them, and I don't want to encourage, other people's pets or kids to be running up to me, it still makes me happy. I look to those things too. Any little thing, a flower, the breeze, the sun, the storms that are changing up things because God's moving things around. Like, I'm appreciative for it all. So gratitude is a big way to keep moving forward in times of trial. There's always something to be grateful for. And if I hadn't gone through all of these things, I never would have remembered the joy in all of the small things that I had taken for granted, to where they're big things to me now, because for a long time I didn't have anything. And I was so grateful for the things that I did have, because He always made a way. I was never without anything that I needed. I was without a lot of things that I wanted and I thought that I needed to make me me. But along the way, the more you practice it, you will see that you are so much more than that. You just lost yourself along the way. You have to come back home to yourself. You have to go within and connect with God. You have to connect to your higher self to remember why you're here, how great you are, all of the things that you already have around you that you've taken for granted that are amazing in themselves, just by themselves. And that will help you. Let's see. I tried not to do notes, but I mean, I sing, I dance, I enjoy my own company. I am hella silly. I will laugh at myself and things that I do, that I notice that I do, that I never would have remembered or noticed that I do all the time now that I'm by myself. I love to be creative. I love to make art. Even in one of the yoga videos that I do, there's some at the end. It's not demonic, by the way, but this girl, she will say, thank yourself for making time for this practice and pouring into you. And so I do that, but then at the end, she's like, warm up your hands, and then wrap your arms around yourself and give yourself the biggest hug. And the first few times that I did it, I just cried every time that I embraced myself. It's been so long since I've given someone a hug, received a hug, that hug from myself, and just the warming your hands up, making it be a warm bear hug to yourself. Oh, the emotions just flooded me and I cried. But I do that every time that I'm ending yoga now, and I just feel amazing because I love me. And I know that I will attract other people that love me for the right reasons and will treat me right, because when you treat yourself right, everything else falls in line. Everything else falls in line. And that's why there was so much chaos that came to a head and there was an explosion in the first place. But because you didn't do anything about it before it got to that, God had to do that to show you what you weren't doing right, how you need to realign yourself, how you need to deal with your trauma and heal, how you need to love yourself and to pour into you, and then you can start adding things back. So this whole time that, I want to be with my sons, or that I wanted to be there for my son tonight, I changed my perspective. I've talked about this a lot, but that we're doing separate things right now. He knows that I love him. I don't need to beat him over the head with it. I don't need to constantly chase him. Don't ever chase, you attract. So once you detach from something, you'll be surprised how much it wants you. Whether it was something that was good or bad for you, you can be the judge of whether you accept that back into your life. But once you detach, things will attract. Trust me, I have long detached and blocked somebody that tried to spin the block and call me out of the blue the other day. And I was like, what? This person didn't even tell me their true identity when I met them the first time. And then when I called them out on it, they said, you're paranoid. You're paranoid. Try to gaslight me by telling me that I'm paranoid when they were a freaking liar the entire time that I knew them, which was a short period of time. So when you detach from things, you're going to attract them. You just have to be very discerning on whether it was for your highest good, and whether you detaching from it and them coming back, you have your boundaries. But God is working on me and my sons, and I don't want to rush his timing. I don't want to rush his plan. I want everything to not be perfect, but I want it to be much better before it's time for them to realign with me. And when they realign with me, if it's something for my highest good, I want to be the best possible person that I can be when I welcome that back into my life. And I feel like I'm there now, but in the past, it wasn't right. So I'm not going to spend time crying or keeping myself stuck or holding myself back from new experiences. I want to appreciate the new me, the new that I see, and all of the things that were already there that I rediscovered again, that the new friends that I can make, or new relationships that I can have, or new goals and things that I set for myself for my future. I want to welcome those things in with the best possible me that I can be, so that I don't ever have to go through that lag, that trying to play catch up because things aren't right, because you won't be able to sustain your new blessings if you're not in that good place when those things start coming in. So that's why it's necessary, absolutely necessary. But yeah, I don't want any of you to go into full panic mode about anything, or to think that you can't live without something. You can't live without you. You can't live without, in my opinion, God or your higher power, whatever you choose to call him. Those are the foundations for everything. Whatever you choose to add back in after you deal with your trauma, after you cut your suffering short, because the longer that you stay there, the longer drawn out that storm is going to be. If you think you're tired now, if you think you're sad now, or you're hurt now, if you wallow in that and you don't start moving on and finding ways to move on, you're really going to be in a bad place a few months down the road if you're still in that same spot, or if you're trying to cover it up with things that are going to hurt you worse and put you in an even worse position. Because trust me, it can always get worse. Always. Even when it is bum south, you can always get worse. But yeah, I've talked about the self-care, that we all have separate paths. We're all doing our own things in our own time. So don't think, even if you think that you're missing out, don't spend too long worrying about that. Because when things are right, if things are right for those people to come back into your life, those things to come back into your life, it will happen. It will happen. Just trust and have faith. Be good to yourself. Have that self-compassion. Like I said, if you need to sit with it, sit with it. just don't stay there too long. You know, get it out. Find a way to get it out so that you can work through it and you can start moving forward again. Challenge the negativity. Anything negative that crosses your mind, I want you guys to have emotional maturity. Um, Me in the past, I've said before, would react, would try to use my sharp tongue, to use my words to try and cut someone down or tell them about themselves. I wouldn't try to do it just to hurt them because they hurt me, but it was something that I probably held in that I wanted to tell them for a long time, but because I was putting them first and just trying to keep things smooth, that I never said. So when finally I was like, I've had enough, I would let it all out, and the floodgates, the dam would bust, and I would let it all out. But me now, even if I sit with the sadness, I also sit with anything negative that comes through so that I don't act upon it. And I don't comment on things if I see things that I feel like I could contribute towards, like on a post or a video or whatever. This is things that are relevant to me right now because I've come so far. I don't react to anything else. I'm not, trying to pitch a fit with when I don't get phone calls, or I'm not invited to the promotion. I'm not those things. I'm far beyond that, because the more you practice, the more you'll get. That is one thing. Another thing that I would not trade for the world, the emotional maturity that I have gotten out of all of this, because I hold that power. You give it away. You give it away. You give all of your energy away. You give your power away. You give anything that you have that you own, which is all of your essence. You give it away and you feed someone else with that precious currency when you decide to give up control over yourself and you react. So stand in your power. Don't react. Don't give them what they want, because that's what they're doing it for anyway. They don't care whether they get a negative or a positive response out of you. They just want a response, because energy vampires feed on that. And if you are in a negative situation where somebody is creating that false narrative of you, a smear campaign, and they want you to react negatively every time, all day, every day, because it reinforces what they're trying to push out there. The victim that they're trying to portray themselves as being, and trying to control the narrative. But they can't control the narrative when you stand in your power and you control yourself, because you're never what they said that you were. And even if everybody has a past. I was thinking about the bunny and jelly roll the other day, how somebody was using them as an example in their videos, and I was like, I don't listen to Jelly Roll's music, but I have listened to a couple of Bunny's podcasts because I love podcasts, especially when I'm walking or exercising. But she used to be like an escort, like a high paid prostitute, and he was like a drug dealer, and he's done time in prison, and they're in so much better places now. I mean, like, he just won like a country music award or something, and she has this successful podcast, and they have a great relationship. But she's in someone's face if they try to bring up her mistakes, because be fully transparent when you have transformed yourself. Don't hold anything back, because trust me, the naysayers will come and try to throw crap all over you. They want you to react, but the point is, I'm not that person anymore. She's not that person anymore. If you bring up my past, I've already put it out there. I'm not afraid of it. It's what made me who I am today. And if I hadn't gone through any of that, I wouldn't have learned from what I'm not to be what I am now. So what about it? What about it? I wouldn't take it back. I don't regret anything. Wouldn't be who I am today if it hadn't been for that. And I definitely am teaching people what came out of that and how to turn it into a positive. So, and and so what? Don't let anybody, continue to smear you with things that you have long left behind, because there are things that they wouldn't want put out there about them. But if they had changed, they wouldn't care, because they wouldn't be the person that they are. Like your mirror, who you are when you do this work is going to show them what they could be, and that's going to make them hate on you even more, because they don't want to do the work. They see what they could be, but they choose not to be because it's hard. And so it's going to irritate them. It's going to make them hate on you even more, even if they're not trying to do a smear campaign. Strangers that don't even know you They haven't taken the time to get to know you or learn from your experiences and how that was very much instrumental in becoming who you are now. It's going to irritate them because they see your glow. You're going to glow when you do these things, to not be stuck, to not be held back, to not be thriving in the chaos. Because if you think you're thriving, you're not thriving. The only way that you're going to thrive is by picking it apart and putting it back together in a healthy way. And that's going to require getting rid of a whole bunch of stuff. You're going to get rid of the emotional immaturity. You're going to get rid of what you thought you were worth. You're going to gain a whole new self-worth. You're going to get rid of people you thought your friends, people that you thought were your family and that you needed to be loyal and that they would always have your back. You're going to get rid of jobs. You're going to get rid of a lot of things that weren't supposed to be there in the first place, but you kept doing them because that's what you thought it to need. That's what you thought you need to make happen to be you. But God's going to show you. God's going to show you how to be a better you. And a lot of times that comes with stripping things away, and it's a very painful process. But you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it, which is the whole point of my channel. It will pass. It will all pass. God's working in your life. Have faith that better days are yet to come. But the longer that you dig in your heels and wallow in the pain, wallow in the trauma, the longer that you're going to stay stuck there. But I know that you can do it. You just have to cut it short. You have to find things, coping skills, a new focus, a way to ground and balance yourself to move forward, because he did all of that for a reason. And for you to move forward, you can't stay stuck in it, but you have to be willing to do the work so that you'll be prepared to be able to keep all of those good blessings when they do come in, because they will come in. They will come in. I love you all. God loves you, and you're never, ever, ever, ever not for a single second alone. I'll talk to you later. Bye.